I'm out all that money and I don't think I'll ever get it back.
The woman that you're about to meet is a widow who was looking for companionship, but instead she got her heart and her wallet ripped open. She says she was tricked into giving more than $70,000, her life savings, by the way, to a man she met online.
Jennifer Dennis is 76 years old and widowed. These facts establish not weakness but context, the conditions under which a Facebook message from a stranger could become the foundation of belief. Widowhood creates absence. A dating platform offers the possibility of presence. The decision to engage was not recklessness. It was an attempt to rebuild something that had been lost. The man who called himself Caleb presented credentials designed to inspire trust. A doctor, working for the Red Cross, stationed in Yemen. Each element of this identity was calculated to signal competence, compassion, and purpose. Doctors heal. The Red Cross serves. Yemen suggests humanitarian commitment in difficult circumstances. The composite character was not merely attractive, he was admirable. He was coming back to the States soon. He wanted to settle in a new area. He had lost his wife. This final detail is the psychological key. He mirrored her. He was not a stranger seeking connection. He was a fellow survivor of loss, someone who understood what it meant to rebuild after grief. The symmetry was not coincidental. It was manufactured, a credibility signal designed to create immediate identification. Jennifer formed a month-long online relationship with Caleb. 30 days. The timeline is compressed by the standards of traditional courtship, but consistent with the accelerated intimacy that digital communication enables. Messages can arrive hourly. Presence can feel continuous. The rhythm of contact creates familiarity that would normally require months of in-person interaction to develop. At one point, she messaged him, "You are my dream come true." The phrase reveals not naivety but hope, the belief that after loss, after grief, after the ordinary diminishments of aging, something extraordinary was still possible. The scammer understood that this hope was the resource he was extracting. The money was secondary. The hope came first.
A warning about romance scams. According to the FTC, more than $1.3 billion was lost in these kinds of scams last year. And this morning, one woman is sharing her heartbreaking story so others don't fall victim. DeMarco Morgan has the details. Good morning to you, DeMarco.
Good morning, guys. It's all good, all good. This story is heartbreaking on so many levels here. The woman that you're about to meet is a widow who was looking for companionship, but instead she got her heart and her wallet ripped open. She says she was tricked into giving more than $70,000, her life savings, by the way, to a man she met online.
I'm out all that money and I don't think I'll ever get it back.
76-year-old Jennifer Dennis says she met this man on Facebook who went by the name Caleb. He claimed to be a doctor working for the Red Cross in Yemen.
It all looked legitimate. He was coming back to the States real soon and he was wanting to settle in a new area because he'd lost his wife.
She told our ABC station WTVD she formed a month-long online relationship with Caleb, growing so close at one point even messaging him, "You are my dream come true." Caleb soon suggested they buy a house together when he returned from overseas. The plan? Caleb would pay $600,000 and she would pay the remaining $70,000 plus an additional $8,700 for expenses.
Seemed like a perfect deal.
The proposal appeared generous. Caleb would contribute $600,000. Jennifer would contribute $70,000 plus $8,700 for expenses. The ratio, nearly 9-to-1 in his favor, positioned her as a minor partner in a major investment. She was not buying a house. She was joining someone who was buying a house. The framing made her contribution feel modest, proportionate, reasonable. This is the architecture of process-based fraud. The victim is not asked to fund the entire operation. She is asked to participate in something larger, something already in motion, something that requires only her modest addition to become complete. The $70,000 was not presented as a payment to a stranger. It was presented as a down payment on a shared future. She and her son packed up their belongings. They sold their home in Georgia. They drove to North Carolina. These are not impulsive actions. They are logistical commitments, the systematic dismantling of one life in preparation for another. The house in Georgia represented stability, equity, decades of accumulated security. They converted it to cash and drove toward a future that existed only in messages on a screen. The son, Raymond, went to look at the house. Someone was living there. The property was not for sale. The realization arrived not through evidence of fraud, but through evidence of reality, a door, a resident, the simple fact that the house they had been promised belonged to someone else. This moment is the threshold. Everything before it existed in the space between belief and verification. Jennifer had trusted. She had planned. She had moved. The trust was not irrational. It was constructed through weeks of communication, through the careful performance of a character who mirrored her losses and offered to share her future. The verification came only when Raymond knocked on a door in North Carolina and discovered that the future did not exist. They had sold their home. The money was gone. The house they were promised belonged to someone else. The displacement was total. They had left Georgia with belongings and hope. They arrived in North Carolina with belongings and nothing else. The FTC reports that romance scams cost nearly 70,000 people roughly $1.3 billion in 2022. Jennifer Dennis is one data point within that figure. Her $70,000 represents approximately 0.005% of the annual total. The statistic provides scale but obscures particularity. Each fraction of that $1.3 billion belonged to someone who believed, who trusted, who packed their belongings and drove toward a life that was not waiting.
She and her son Raymond then packed up their things, sold their home in Georgia, and drove to North Carolina, hoping to start a new life. But when Raymond went to look at the house, it was clearly not for sale.
When I noticed that someone was still living in the house and knocked on the door, I automatically knew that it was a scam.
The FTC reporting in 2022, romance scams cost nearly 70,000 people roughly $1.3 billion. Experts say they are so dangerous because they can feed on your emotions.
If they're claiming to be overseas, if they're claiming they don't have access to a phone or a video chat to talk to you, it can only be through text or through an app. Or they're giving you a hard story about a sick kid, a medical issue, they don't have money, and then they start asking for money. If it feels too fast, if the I love you comes really quickly, those are the biggest red flags of a romance scam.
Jennifer Dennis and her son Raymond now live in a donated camper. The word donated carries weight. They did not purchase this shelter. They did not rent it. It was given to them by someone who recognized that they had nothing else. The home they owned in Georgia, the equity, the stability, the physical structure that housed their lives, has been converted to currency and transferred to someone who claimed to be a doctor in Yemen. She reported the incident to the FBI. The report joins tens of thousands of others filed annually, each one documenting a similar pattern: connection, trust, extraction, absence. The investigations proceed where jurisdiction permits. The recoveries occur rarely. The money moves through systems designed to resist tracing, and the victims remain with what remains. Jennifer is 76 years old. The $70,000 she lost was not supplementary income. It was her life savings, the sum of decades of work, accumulated for exactly the period of life she has now entered. The camper is not a transition. It is a destination, the endpoint of a journey that began with a Facebook message from a man who said he had lost his wife and wanted to start over. She called him her dream come true. The phrase persists, not as evidence of foolishness, but as evidence of what was taken. The dream was not money. The dream was companionship, partnership, the possibility of not being alone. The money was the cost of believing that possibility was real. Caleb does not exist. The house in North Carolina belongs to someone else. The Red Cross has no record of the doctor she loved. What remains is a donated camper, a son who discovered the truth by knocking on a stranger's door, and a woman who will not recover what she sent to a man who was never coming back from Yemen.
Now, as for Jennifer, she and her son are now living in a donated camper, and she has reported the incident to the FBI. Experts say you should be on the lookout for all red flags because once you send the money, it's very unlikely that you will not get it back.